Hello everybody and welcome back to Full House Sports. Here myself, Charlie. And before the video starts, please like, please comment and subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated. Big things happening soon with the channel and everything. Please subscribe to keep up to date with that. Right, it is week 2 of my Autumn Internationals or Autumn Nations series as it's now called. Predictions last week, don't mean to brag, but did pretty well. So hopefully this week the hot streak can continue. I think to be fair, there's a few ones that I think are quite easy to call this week, so I'm not going to. But I'm going to try and get a little bit close with my scores, I think, to be honest with you. So, starting off with last week's action and what a week it was. And there was a couple of upsets, I think that it's fair to say. I think there was some brilliant rugby on display. You really get the sense now the Nation Series is starting to heat up. I personally am a fan of this Northern Southern Hemisphere rivalry. I think it's a good thing and it keeps things interesting. I don't think there should be a made-up cup or whatever there is, but listen, I'm a fan of it, and you can't blame it for getting people involved. So, starting off with Ireland, Australia, because I think there's a lot of talking points surrounding this game. Ireland last week against Japan, again, the quality came through in the end. It was obviously a bit experimental from Andy Farrell, who can blame him, especially with me speaking about the age of the squad. I think this is a genuine... The thing is with the Aussies at the moment is they remind me a little bit of what France were like 10, 15 years ago, maybe, where you didn't know which France were going to turn up. And I feel like it's like that with Australia at the minute. You don't know which Australia's going to turn up. Is it going to be the Australia that beat South Africa the first game of the Rugby Championship this season, or beat the Lions in the third test and was quite competitive or very competitive in the second test? Or is it going to be the Australia that turned up last week against Italy or turned up in the first Lions test? They're a young side, that's bound to happen. I think Ireland will grind out a win here. I think the experience will come through. The home crowd will play a massive part for them. I think they'll grind out a win, and I think it will be very interesting to see. I saw Ireland's lineup today, and yeah, or should I say I saw Leinster Invitational 15 lineup. Interesting what's going on there. I still think if I'm an Ireland rugby fan, alarm bells would be ringing, because I don't think it's good for the Irish game, and I think they will pay for it in a couple of years' time, but that's not for me to diagnose the problems of. I do think it's problematic, though, but I think they'll grind out a win over Australia. I really do. I think that it will probably be by 18, 17 points, probably. Just being close. First half competitive, then second half, just the nous and the experience coming through. But like I say, it could be anything with Australia. You never know. They've been scintillating at times, but also bang average at times. That's the hardest one for me to call, I think, this weekend, weirdly enough. But the second hardest is definitely England, New Zealand. And looking at the starting lineups, it's even more difficult. New Zealand have almost looked at England and gone, right, well, you've got the POM squad. We're going to counter that, and we're going to put some really solid players on the bench as well. And I get it. I wonder as well if this is where rugby is going. You know, where is this going? It'll be very interesting, I think, to analyse and see what happens if this continues, this habit of naming really strong benches, of almost seeing the subs as just as important as the players, as the first 15. I mean, they should be anyway, theoretically, but I don't know. It's interesting to see what happens and what will happen if it goes drastically wrong for a team. If a team's not in a game with 15, 20 to go and they're bringing on these players, people will be going, why don't they start? But listen, it's an interesting one. My problem with England is a few things. I think, one, I'm a Northampton Saints fan. Fraser Dingwall, I'm not sure if he's international calibre. I'm really not. And that sounds quite harsh, but he had a poor game against Fiji. And I don't know. But then the flip side, of course, I don't know where else you go, because you want a kicking option at centre with Lawrence. And people were saying, well, if you put Smith at 15, then you've got that kicking option. But I don't think Smith's an international grade fullback. I think there's still a lot to be addressed in that England back line, put it that way. And George Ford, defensively, not great. And Alex Mitchell, defensively, not great. I could see New Zealand winning on Saturday and maybe winning reasonably convincingly. Don't know, maybe by 15, by 20. People will probably say, oh, I'm deluded, I'm wrong, and I may be wrong, maybe I'm myself like a fool. I just think they'll target Ford's channel. I know they haven't got Barrett at centre, but I still think it's an interesting one. And I think Stewart at fullback, he didn't have a great game against Australia. Wet, windy, there's a storm going on in the UK. And I think they'll target Stewart with a high ball, get him turning as well. We know he's not the quickest at times when he's turning. The intensity will be there. I think New Zealand will win this game. I do. But listen, England are learning on the job. Steve Borthwick's still trying to figure out combinations of things. I think New Zealand are as well. I don't think it's the end of the world for either side if they lose. But I just think the All Blacks, they're starting to click. I really think that. And I thought Saturday was a good test of character. And they came through it up at Murrayfield. And I think they are starting to, the juggernauts starting to roll on. Another game was to look forward to is Wales-Japan, the decider in theory, because of course they played a 2-match series earlier this season out in Japan. Wales won the second game, Japan won the first game. So in theory, yeah, this is the decider, I guess, if that's how you want to look at it. Japan, I thought they gave a brave account of themselves against Ireland. They're just, you heard Eddie Jones talk before that game. They've got players who are still amateur at the minute, still playing, and they're still very much that tier 2 nation, I think. You'd expect Wales to win. There were signs of life against Argentina, but no Morgan for them, no Jack Morgan, who I think, we could all agree is the shining light of this Wales team. I still think they'll be good. I think it'll be a really entertaining game. I really do. I think it'll be two sides who are going to go hell for leather and may make mistakes, may throw the ball about a bit. I think it'll be an interesting game. I think it'll be a high-scoring affair as well, similar to the Wales game last week. But I think Wales will pull away. I think Wales, again, will probably end up in the 40s, same as Ireland did last week against Japan. But I can see Japan ended up in the mid to high 20s as well in terms of score. I can generally see it going that way. I think it'll be a really entertaining game. And I think Japan will be up for it. Japan will fancy it. They know that they need to win for these rankings, for this World Cup draw. Wales need a win full stop, and because it feels a little bit like at times they're in free fall. So it's an intriguing one, a really intriguing one, but I think Wales will win that one. Last but not least, and I think a really entertaining or interesting game, is Scotland-Argentina. Argentina, wow. I mean, maybe they're starting to get the credit they deserve. I said on a video the other day about could the Lions tour there. If you haven't checked that out, please do if you're a rugby fan. I think the Argentinians are one of the most underrated countries. I think they have been for a while in rugby. They are the most underrated because they're consistently giving it and serving it up to the big boys. And they are a big boy now. What they did to Wales was thoroughly professional. I wondered if them losing the underdog tag, because they have lost that now. They're not the underdogs anymore. People respect them. I wondered if that was a little bit, if that was affect them. It hasn't. In fact, I think it's only let them grow in confidence. We know what Argentinians are like in sporting atmosphere in general. They are very confident. Scotland as well, great account of themselves against New Zealand. To show the character they did, 17-0 down, you think it always could be a drubbing. To pull it back, there was the glimmer of hope, wasn't there, that this could be the day. And then New Zealand did what New Zealand do. And there was a few, I think, questionable officiating decisions in there. Certainly think the try, I can't remember who it was who came through the ruck. He is offside technically under the rules of the law, but what are you going to do about it? It's one of them things now, but it's a tough one to call, this one, and I couldn't quite make my mind up. Do you know what? I think Argentina could pull off an upset in a tight game. I really do. Like I say, underestimate them at your peril. I think they could pull off an upset in a really tight game, but it's an interesting one. There's a couple of other games I think as well. France-Fiji, I'm looking forward to that. France-South Africa last week was, I don't think it was as good as I thought it'd be, but it was still, I mean, the Springboks, you've got to love them. What they do, they're just a machine. But France-Fiji gave a great count against Fiji. Fiji got a second scrummaging unit, then they're a threat to everyone. It just fell apart a bit in the second half. I know there was the yellow card in the bunker as well and everything else, but they'll throw it round at the Stade de France. They will. They'll play rugby the way they know how to play rugby. France, they will do the same. They're an entertaining side. I think there'll be some outrageous plays in that. You'd expect France to win. I think France will win quite comprehensively because they need a response after last week when it was there for the taking and they didn't. But it'll be an interesting game, that. I'm looking forward to that one. I think that's actually one that really excites me most. Just I think I can see that one being the best rugby played. And South Africa, you'd have to expect them to smash through Italy. But big shout out to Italy for that win last week. A lot of people still write them off. A lot of people are still treating them, I think, unfairly. They're coming. They are coming. Look at some of the results to Six Nations. They've beat Australia. They're not... One of these days soon, they are going to click, I think, and we will see them rise. Maybe similar to an Argentina or a Fiji. I think they're there or thereabouts, and we want to see more nations competitive at the top table. I certainly do. It'd be great for the sport. But anyways, guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. My predictions are in. I'll put them about here and see if you agree, if you disagree, whatever else. Don't take them as gospel. I got them all right 1 week. I'm no expert. I'm just a guy who has an opinion. But please like, comment and subscribe. Have a great day.